Right, here we are, guys, back for more tutorial videos here for the Greenoch Point course. And this is the original hole from this course here. So should definitely not have anything really new to go over here, other than I'm going to be using the notebook app to kind of give you a fresh perspective on it. So I'm only going to do a couple tours, a couple courses in this tour. I've really covered the Milano course very extensively because they created a new course, and I basically put out a playlist just for that course once it drops. So I have a lot of that information in here. Now keep in mind, on this shot here, this is something that you're going to be seeing me do a lot with this notebook app, is anytime that I'm kind of going into a headwind on a, especially on a, drive like this, I'm going to put in about plus 10%, and then, maybe go just gently into power. So that's kind of how you're going to see me set up. You could do this with a POC 4 or POC 5 relatively easy, and you would just kind of copy my ball guide a little bit, more so than anything. And what you're going to see is right around 4 ring adjustment, 5 rings, somewhere in there. Ooh, a little bit slower needle, wasn't quite expecting that. The farther I go down in tours, the more the needle speed changes. So you can see that, the focus here is just to kind of get it out into play more than anything. I'll usually use a plus 0 elevation here, but here you'll see that I use plus 10% just because I was into a headwind. Similarly for this, I'm probably going to go B52, and I'll usually use, maybe minus 20%, I'm thinking, somewhere in that fashion. Very close to a plus 20, a minus 20%. This is very, very uphill shot. I'm always going to do a rough bump. In this case, I might come off of this a little bit because it's straight into a headwind. So I might alter my ring adjustment just slightly and add a little bit more of a wind effect because it's straight into the wind. So just something to be considering, especially if you have the notebook app. I'm going to do the best that I can to kind of, with all these new setups, kind of give you guys the new adjustments with the app. So aside from that, we're going to need to be scanning. There you can see we're going to be very close to my max ring adjustment, 5.1. And I'm going to pull very, very close to the max number. And as I mentioned, I'm kind of scaling back just a little bit. And I might just offset my guide just slightly, kind of right in there. But do pay attention to the second and third hop. It's kind of right onto the green, a little bit through the hole. And aside from that, I'm just going to go 1-to-1 here with a ring adjustment, 4.9 rings. So right there. That's where I'm going to put that. Perfect ball. And let's see how this rolls out. Might not be too bad. So a little bit just too much. So barely. And it was basically off only by the offset amount. So, you shouldn't expect to see too much offset, especially on a 5 wind. But for example, at a 10 wind, it might be, a little bit more prevalent. Because I really didn't have a lot of wind effect there going on an uphill. So I honestly just offset my guide a little bit too much more than anything. The adjustment I use is probably pretty spot on. So if you want to, for the most part, copy my numbers, that should be pretty good. Keep in mind that I only used 15% as kind of an isolated case. It's into a headwind, so I'm going to add a little bit more wind effect, which means if I was usually going to go plus minus 20, I got to do plus adjustment because I have to do a little bit more of an over adjustment. So keep in mind that plus adjustment means I'm going to go more over adjustment. So that's the easiest way. Plus, not to mention, if you're looking at the elevation, we have the little mountains on there for you guys, where you can see uphill, downhill kind of thing. So downhill obviously requires a little bit more of an overcorrection, so we'll go a little bit more. Here you can see we're going to get a Southern Pines hole. I'm going to split these videos up, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.